This is Gemara Sanhedrin Daf Yud Aleph. I'm holding on Yud Amud Beis. We're about 15 lines from the bottom. The Gemara is teaching us that there was Batei Dinim that comprised of 3, 5, and 7 Dayanim. Says the Gemara, Hani Shleisha Chamisha V'Yeshiva Keneged Mi. These 3, 5, and 7 Dayanim, what do they correspond towards? Says the Gemara, this is indeed a machlekes pligi ba Rav Yitzchak bar Nachmeni v'chad imei, and someone that was with him. Umani, and who is that? Rav Shimon ben Pazi. V'amar Rav Shimon ben Pazi v'chad imei. Umani Rav Yitzchak bar Nachmeni. Chad Amar. So we have machlekes of Shimon Pazi and Rav Yitzchak bar Nachmeni. Chad Amar, what's the 3, 5, and 7? Kineged. 1 second. There's the page. Kineged Birchas Kohanim. V'chad Amar. Kineged Shloisha Kineged Shamrei Asaf. Chamisha Rei Bnei HaMelech. Shiva Rei Bnei HaMelech. So machlekes. What is the 3, 5, and 7? Is the 3, 5, and 7 Birchas Kohanim that we have? Birchas Kohanim, Rashi explains, the first pasuk has 3 words, the second pasuk has 5 words, the third pasuk has 7 words. That's Shita number 1. Shita number 2 is no. It's talking about in the Beis HaMikdash, the Psukim in Malachim teach us different levels of Shomrim. The Shleisha Shomrei Asaf, the gatekeepers, the Chamisha, the ones who got to see the king regularly, and the 7 who actually saw the face of the king. Says the Gemara, Tani Rav Yosef, Hani Shleisha Chamisha V'Shiva, Shleisha Keneged Shomrei Asaf, Chamisha Meirah B'nei HaMelech, Shiva Raya B'nei HaMelech, like the second Shita. Amar Leah Bayel Rav Yosef an Inna, my time Eloi Parshan Mar. Until now, why do you not explain like this, Achi? Amar Lo Lavi Adana Ditzrichiusa. I didn't know that you needed to know this. I knew this all along. I didn't know you needed. Mi bi'isu minai milsav la'amri lechu. Did you ever ask me something I didn't tell you? I just didn't know. Now that I found out that you were having this discussion, I told you my opinion. Continues the Gemara. Zman nasi tzarich yidi simin. And once again, we have a Mayritik Simin reminding us, many have jumped on board the Zichru bandwagon, how Baruch Hashem, we are learning to remember Daf day by day, have a greater clarity in the Daf. We see this is not a newfangled thing. I urge everyone to check it out. Tana Rabbanon, in Ma'avrin es Hashana. Elo, you only perform Iber Hashana, says the Gemara, as we turn over to Yud Aleph, Amid Aleph. Ela b'mizumanim la, only with judges that are designated for Iber Hashana. A special designated job, says the Tab Rashi, shezminon hanasi mi be'erev, that the nasi designated to serve on that din Torah in the prior evening. Rav Gamliel, Rav Gamliel, the top line of Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. There was a story with Rav Gamliel. Shamar Shkimali Shival Aliyah. The Rav Gamliel said, let 7 people get up early, Hishkimu, 7 judges in the morning, La Aliyah, and have them come up to the attic. Hishkim, they got up, Umatzah, they found Shemaina. There were 8 people in the room. Clearly 7 received invitation and 1 did not. Omar, said Rav Gamliel, who's the one that came up here without permission? He should go back down. Omar Shmuel HaKatan got up, Omar, and he said, I came up without permission. I didn't come up to perform Iver Shana. You know why I'm here, says Shmuel HaKatan. I just wanted to learn the halacha tzrachti. I wanted to learn to figure out what is the process, what is the correct procedure, etc. Amar Lois, Rav Gamliel says to Shmuel HaKatan, Shev b'ni Shev, sit. Ruya is kol hashanim, kula on this aber al yadcha. To be fitting for each and every year to be done, to be extended by you. Ella, Amru chachamim in ma'abrin es hashana ella b'mizumanim la. Meaning, says Rabbi Gamliel, truthfully, you, Shmuel HaKatan, are at that caliber that you should be able to perform Iber Hashana. However, we're not going to allow you because you were not designated for that. Says the Gemara, but guess what? V'lo Shmuel HaKatan have 10 lines down, the first one line is Shmuel. Says the Gemara, in reality, it wasn't really Shmuel HaKatan that was the one that went up without permission. It was someone else. Why did Shmuel HaKatan say it was him? Shmuel HaKatan did not want that person to be embarrassed, and therefore he admitted that it was him. Says the Gemara, once we discuss one story of a great that admitted fault even though it was not his, continues the Gemara. Rebbe was sitting in darshaning v'areach reach shom, and he smelled the smell of garlic. Amar, said Rebbe, mishachal shom, whoever ate garlic, yatsa, should leave. Amar Rebbe Chia v'yatsa, Rebbe Chia got up, and he left. Amdu kulam v'yatsu, everyone else got up and they left. B'shachar in the morning, matzah Reb Shimon b'Rebbe. In the morning, they found Reb Shimon b'Rebbe l'Rebbe Chia. Reb Shimon b'Rebbe met Reb Chia, Amar Lai. So he said to Rav Chia, Atu sheisarti labo, was you. Was it you that caused my father pain? You were the one really that had bad breath? Amar lai, it wasn't really me, even though again, he was one that admitted. Take his eyes. Amar lai, take his eyes to Israel. He responded, Rav Chia said, no way. I would never do such a thing. I would never eat garlic before coming to the Beis Medrash. I just did it to save the real person from the embarrassments. Says the Gemara, more stories of the story. Rav Chia mecha gamer la meir meir. Where did Rav Chia know? Where did Rav Chia know that it's kedai to admit in order to save someone else from embarrassment from a mayor? Titania, we learned in a brayso, Ma'isa b'ishach, so story with a woman Shabbos lebeis medrash or a mayor. Amra lo, she said, Rebbe, echad mikem kachani b'biyah. One of you would marry me with Biyam, and Rameir constantly get krisos. Rameir got up, and Rameir gave her a get, implying that he was the one that did it, v'nasan la, and he gave it to her. So what happened after the great Rameir did that? Amdu v'kasu kulam v'naslo. All the Talmidim did the same, and therefore the one that actually was the one that acted inappropriately was saved from the embarrassment. So continues the Gemara, and where did Rameir know to do this? Mishmol HaKatan. Shmol HaKatan Meichel Gamerla, Mishchanya ben Yechiel. Says the Gemara from Shchanya ben Yechiel. And he said in the first white line, and he said to Ezra HaSefer, Anachnu me'alinu v'lekeinu, v'anoi shevna, shem nachrios b'amei aretz, said Shmuel ben Nechanyam. Shchanya, the son of Yechiel, the son of Elam, cried out and said to Ezra, Nachnu me'alnu me'elokeinu. We have went against Hashem and Hashem Nashim Nachriyos. We taken women who were Nachriyos B'amei Aretz. V'ati Yesh Mikali Yisrael Al Zois is anything to do for Klal Yisrael. So Shchanya admitted to a crime also to save others from embarrassment, even though he did not do this. Says the Gemara, continuing the progression, tracing it higher and higher, as each of these greats showed us who they learned from. Says the Gemara in the second white line, Hashem said to Yeshua, get up. Why are you lying down? Klal Yisrael has sinned. So Hashem accused against Klal Yisrael to avoid the one that did the crime from the embarrassment. Amar le'fanav, says Yeshua, Rebbeinu shalai lamichata. Amar la, Hashem responds, V'chidaloiter do I say tales in Lashon Hara? Lech hatel kairalois, go and perform a lottery to find the one that did the Aveira. V'iba yisema, they learned it from whom? None less than Moshe Dechsev, says by Moshe Rabbeinu, on the fifth white line, Ad Ana Me'antem, Until when should you refuse to listen to my mitzvahs? Here also Hashem said about all of Klal Yisrael, not singling out the one person that did the Aveira. Continues the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, quoting another story that happened with Shmuel HaKatan. We're on the fifth wide line of Yidalef Amaralev, Mishameso Nevi'im Achrayim, Chagai Zachariah Malachai, when the latter Nevi'im were nifter, when they are Chagai Zachariah Malachai, and Istalka Ruach HaKodesh Mi Yisrael. Ruach HaKodesh left Kal Yisrael, Vaval Bikein, and even though Ruach HaKodesh left, Ayim Mishamshim B'Baskel, still they would use a baskel. They didn't have the direct conversation with Hashem, but there was a baskel. Pamachas. One time, they were sitting in the attic of Guria's house, B'Yerichai. V'nasna aleihem a baskel, and there was a baskel of Min HaShamayim that said, Yishkan echad, one of you, Sherosh Yishchal Shechina, that really the Shechina should rest upon them, Kim Moshe Rabbeinu Ella. So why doesn't it? But the generation is not fitting for such. The Chacham that were there looked at Hillel HaZaken. They looked at Hillel HaZaken. He was the one that was Rayu for the Shechina. Says the Gemara, when Hillel HaZaken died, they said about him, Hey Chassid, Hey Ein Anav, Talmida Ishal Ezra. They said about Hillel HaZaken, what a pious man, what an Anav, a Talmud of Ezra HaSefer. Shambamach is another story. Misubin B'Aliyah B'Yavne. Chazal were in an Aliyah, we're in the attic in Yavne. Nasnu Aleim. Baskol, once again, they heard of Baskol Min HaShamayim that said similar. Yishkan Echad, Sharish Adishchav Shchin, Al Shin Torah Zekel Kach. Just generation is not fitting for it. As Chacham Eseinayim B'Shmuel HaKatan. Shemeis, and when Shmuel HaKatan was nifter Amar Alav, Hey Chassid, Hey Anav, Talmidei Shel Hillel. Avu Amar B'Shas Misasan. And even he, at the time, Shmuel HaKatan himself, at the time that he was nifter, said, Shimon v'Yishmael l'charava. Shimon and Yishmael were killed by a sword, v'chavraya l'katala, and their friends will be killed by other meats. Usharama l'biza, the rest of the nation will go to spoil. V'akon sagiyin asidin l'meisei al-alma. And continued Shmuel HaKatan as he's being nifter, that terrible tragedies are going to come al-alma on the world. Val Yehuda ben Baba bikishu loymar kain. On Yehuda ben Baba, Chazal wanted to say similarly, like we just said about Shmuel HaKatan and Hillel HaZaken. Ella shenitva shah. They weren't able to. Why? They lost the opportunity. Shein masmidin al regim malchus, who was killed by the government, and you don't give asmedim of such a person. Continues the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan. Circling back to our original conversation, Ein ma'abrin es hashana. Elam kin yirtze nasi. Says the Gemara, getting back to Iber Shana, you can only do such if the nasi desires. Umayse Rabbi Gamliel shalach li tol rishos eitz al shaltan echad shebis Syria. Rabbi Gamliel went to take rishos from a certain ruler in Syria. Vishalavai, and he was delayed. Vivers Hashana Manash Yirtze Gamliel. So the Chacham that were there made an Iber Shana, made a leap year on condition. The Rav Gamliel is masking. Rav Gamliel Amaratzani Nipsi Shana Meuberes. The year was indeed Meuber. Once Rav Gamliel came back and was maskim. Taner Rabbanan. So we're talking about this entity called Iber Shana, how it's done, how the Dayanim need to be appointed by the Nasi, etc. But says the Gemara, let's go fundamental. Why do we perform Iber Shana? Says the Gemara, only if it's needed because of the roads, and because of the bridges, and because of the ovens for the carbon Pesach that became ruined in the winter, so they needed extra time to repair before Pesach. Yisrael, and because the Yidden in Galish and Akrum they are uprooted, and they did not yet reach Eretz Yisrael. So in order to facilitate Klal Yisrael's Aliyah L'Regel, That's why we make an Iber Shana. Aval, however, Loimim they are shelling, not because the snow of Lubnei had seen the cold. For they Golis, not for those in Golis that were not uprooted from their place. Tanur Rabbanan continues the Gemara. We do not create an Iber Shana because of the Gediyim, because of the goats. Not the sheep, not for the dove, didn't mature yet. However, these are reasons. These aren't the reason. These could be, as we would call it, part of the equation. 3 lines from the white line. Ketzad, how is this? Says Rav Yanai, we inform you that the doves are tender and the lambs are thin. V'imraya darkin, and the doves are tender. The gozlaya rekichin. V'imraya darkin, and the lambs are thin. V'zimnin, and the time the time for the grain to ripen has not yet come. V'shofras milsa banpa, and therefore we should extend the year. And we should add on to this year another 30 days. So says the Gemara, these would be the reasons to create the Iber year. Meisvei, ask the Gemara 1 second. Kama Iber Hashana, Shleishim Yaim, or Shvago, or Chodesh. The first sheet that says 30 days, Shimon says a month, which is 29 days. But Rashbag in the previous Brisa taught us 30 days. You can either have a month of 29 or 30 days. Tachazi, says the Gemara, come and see Ma'ika, what is the difference between Tekufei Kadmoi, the difference between the Tekufei, the generation Kadmoi, the haughtier ones, the earlier generations, Venusa Basrai, and the humble ones of the latter generations. Come and see a critical difference. Titania, we learned in Abraisa, the second line of Yudalev Amid Beis Ma'isa. There was a story of Rav Gamliel, a Ma'isa of Gamliel, that what? Rav Gamliel is sitting upon the steps of Arabayis. And Yochanan Sefer Halaz was standing there, standing in front of him. And there were 3 prepared scrolls lying before him. Amar Lai. Rav Gamliel says, Toli Garta Chada. Says Rav Gamliel, take one of the scrolls, Vikosav, and write. La'achana b'nei Glila Yilah. What should you write to our brothers in the upper Galil? La'achana b'nei Glila Basra. To our brothers in the lower Galil. Shloimchan, Yiskei. You should have peace. Ma'idayin anachnu l'choin. We inform you the Zimnin Biura Mata, that the time of removal of Maesters has come. Lafrushe Ma'asra Mimatana Dezeta, to remove the Maestrais, to separate the Maesters from the olives. Totally Garta, and take that letter Chadav and write that on Vikosov, and writes. This is the second letter. Lachana b'nei Deraima, to our brothers in the south. Shalom Yaska, and everything should be good to you. Maidan and Achnu, we're writing to let you know the L'chain Zimnin Biura Mata, the time of getting rid of the Maesters has come. Afrushe Maiser Mirmir Shibalia, to remove the Maesters from the ears of the grains. Toligarta Chadav Kosav, now take the third letter and write La'achana b'nei Galavasa, to our brothers of the Galus Mevavel, La'achana de B'madai, L'shal Galvasa de Israel, to the brothers in Madai and to everyone else in Klal Yisrael, Shlemchen Yaskoin Le'olam, there should be peace upon you. Maidan Anachtu, we're writing L'chain to you, the Galzan Rechichen V'imraya, that the young doves and the sheep that are tender, the Zamana, Irkan V'zamana Daviva Laimata, the time of the ripening of the grains did not come. V'shufra Milsa Banpa. And it's proper to add on another 30 days to Lawson, another 30 days. So says the Gemara, what do you see? Rav Gamliel said that the earlier generations were more Bali Gaiva, and they did not attribute the Iber to the child. Dilma Basa Davroi, says the Gemara, you know why Rav Gamliel was so humble? Because maybe This was only after they removed him from office did he have the latter remarks. We see the difference between the earlier generations and the latter. Continues the Gemara, and with this we're going to conclude. Tanu Rabbanan, one more detail about the Iber Shana. We're smack in the middle of the Amid. Yud Aleph Amid Beis. The first one in line is Al. Al Shloisha Devarim Avrin is Shana. Ala Aviv Val Beis Ilan. V'Alat Kufa. We need three things. We need the ripening in Nisan, the grain, Beis Ilan, the fruits ripening in Shavuos, V'Alat Kufa, and we have to have the schedule in the right months. Al Shnayim Me'em Abrin. If we have two of the three, we create an Iber Ma'ir. V'Lecha Me'en Ein Ma'abrin. U'Bizman She'aviv Echad Me'em. Hakol Smeichim. And says the Raisa, and when the grain's ripening is one of the reasons everyone is happy to create the leap year, that's when everyone is happy. Which detail are we saying that it's a tkufa because the season is it that they're happy, or is it that is the reason to create the Iber year? Says the Gemara Teku that indeed is a good kasha. We're gonna have to wait for Eliyahu Navi for that answer. Stop over here. I'll pick it up from here. B'siyata Dishmaya.